Oppo has kicked off the new year with the launch of its new smartphone, the Oppo F15, which is a successor to last year's Oppo F11. Now, priced at 19,990 rupees, this phone goes up against competitors such as the Realme X2 and even the Redmi K20 from Xiaomi. Now, both these phones are power-packed devices and are very good all-rounders. But the question is, does the Oppo F15 pack enough of features to be worth considering at this price? We decided to find out. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also that bell icon so you're the first to know whenever we have a new video. We have the unicorn white color trim of the F15, which looks quite eye-catching. This is still a laminated back though and not glass, but the color should help hide fingerprints. At 7.9mm in thickness and weighing around 172 grams, it's quite comfortable to carry around. However, the glossy sides makes the Oppo F15 a little slippery to handle. It is a tall phone due to the 20:9 aspect ratio of the 6.4-inch display. Here you get an AMOLED panel with a Full HD Plus resolution and Corning Gorilla Glass 5. The display gets adequately bright for good legibility even under sunlight, and colors and sharpness of icons and text are very good. There is a prominent notch at the top for the selfie camera and a visible chin at the bottom. The Oppo F15's fingerprint and face unlock system works very well too. Authentication is quick and face unlock even works well in dimly lit scenarios. The phone holds up well for media playback too. Full HD videos look sharp with punchy colors and the viewing angles are quite wide. The mono speaker does get fairly loud, but it is lacking in bass. The power and volume buttons have good placement, and at the bottom there is a headphone socket, a Type-C port and a speaker grill. It also has a triple card slot for 2 nano SIM cards and a micro SD card. On the software front, we have ColorOS 6.1.2 on the Oppo F15, which is still based on Android 9 Pie. Now, our unit also had the January 2020 security patch, which is very good to see. The OS offers the usual shortcuts, gestures, and pre-installed apps. And there's nothing really new to talk about here, which we haven't already covered in recent reviews of Realme and Oppo phones. Now, Oppo's choice of the SoC in the F15 is a bit of a letdown. It's still using the MediaTek Helio P70 SoC, which we also saw in the F11 last year. Now, while the chipset itself offers decent performance, this is something we would typically expect in phones closer to the 10,000 rupee mark and not at this price point. As we mentioned before, there's only one variant which comes with 8GB of RAM and you get 128GB of internal storage. With regular usage, we didn't face any overheating issues as such, even when using the camera extensively or playing a lot of games. PUBG Mobile defaulted to the medium graphics preset and gameplay was relatively smooth. Other stressful titles such as Asphalt 9 Legends also ran well, albeit with slightly reduced graphics. Battery life of the Oppo F15 is pretty solid. The phone ran for a total of 14 hours and 48 minutes in a battery loop test, which is a good time. Now, with regular use, we always manage to use it past a full day with lots of gaming and camera usage. Using his 20-watt charger, we were able to get the battery of the Oppo F15 up to 47% in half an hour and up to 88% in an hour. The F15 gets a much-needed camera upgrade. There's a 48-megapixel primary sensor, an 8-megapixel wide-angle camera, which also doubles up as the macro camera, a 2-megapixel depth sensor, and finally a 2-megapixel monochrome sensor. In daylight, the main sensor captured fairly detailed landscape shots. Colors were vivid, details were good, and there was little to no noise in darker areas. The HDR effect could be better in some instances, but overall it wasn't too bad. Now, the wide-angle camera also has autofocus, so stills from this sensor have good detail, just not as good as the main sensor. Close-ups have good sharpness and detail too, and if you get really close to your subject with the wide-angle camera, you'll be able to get some good super macro shots. Now, we like this implementation better compared to a dedicated camera for macro photos. Portrait mode works decently well too with human subjects, and you can adjust the level of blur before taking the shot. Edge detection is decent and image quality is good too when shooting under good light. In low light, we found the image quality to be a little lacking in landscape shots. Details were weaker and there was visible noise in the darker regions. The night mode does help brighten up the scene, but details don't really improve too much. Close-ups on the other hand did fare a little better in low light with decent detail and not too much visible noise. In the front, we have a 16 megapixel selfie camera which manages some pretty good looking stills in daylight. Skin textures were smoothened a bit, but HDR works well and colors are well represented. With good amount of artificial light around, we managed to get some pleasing looking selfies even at night. Portrait mode doesn't work too well, unfortunately, whether you're shooting in the day or even in low light. The Oppo F15 can only shoot up to 1080p video resolution and not 4K, which other competitors support. Video quality is slightly above average and there is stabilization when shooting using the primary camera. With the wide-angle camera, videos aren't stabilized. In low light, the image quality is noticeably worse as details are poorer and there's a persistent shimmer in the footage even with slight movement. Selfie videos can be shot at up to a 1080p resolution, but once again without any stabilization. The new Oppo F15 is a good looking smartphone and a fairly decent upgrade over the Oppo F11. However, the sub 20,000 rupee segment has changed quite a bit from a year ago, which is why the F15 simply feels a little underpowered compared to its main rivals, the Realme X2 and the Redmi K20. The new camera setup is a nice upgrade, but overall image and video quality are not quite up to the mark. Now, what it has going for it is the slim design, the lightweight and a good display. However, at a price of 19,990 rupees, we still think you're better off with phones such as the Realme X2 or the Redmi K20, both of which offer much better performance and a more premium design and build. So thanks for watching our review of the Oppo F15, and for all things tech, log on to gadgets360.com.